Good, happy Friday morning, March 22nd, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, 3 teenagers accused of restraining man assaulting him for hours. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
This is not your kid's sandbox. This is the place that brings your backyard dreams to life.
And tonight, 3 teenagers are accused of restraining a man for hours and assaulting him. 19-year-old Israel Jr. Rivera, Paul Dustin, and Brandon Lemieux were indicted for the incident that allegedly happened in Seabrook back in October. Court documents say Dustin and Lemieux punched the victim once each, and that Rivera allegedly repeatedly kicked and punched him for over 2 hours. Prosecutors say the victim also had his hair burned. All 3 are charged with criminal restraint.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire man creates surfboard out of Dunkin' cups. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
This is not your kid's sandbox. This is the place that brings your backyard dreams to life.
It may look like your ordinary surfboard, but it's twice the weight and made entirely out of recycled styrofoam Dunkin' cups. Corey Nolan's coffee cup creation fetched him second place in an international contest out of hundreds of applicants.
They asked people to make something out of garbage for the purpose of surfing.
His mission began in 2017.
I collected 1,000, but I only needed 700 for the board, so I still have about half a surfboard in my basement.
Friends and family donated the majority of the cups.
If you go to Dunkin' Donuts and you happen to get a cup, save it for me. Don't go there for the purpose of this.
Nolan cut the cups to make them flat, stacking them up 20 layers.
See people's orders on there.
But none of those orders came from Nolan himself. He stopped buying from the popular chain.
Just to not contribute to the wastefulness of it myself.
Dunkin' is in the process of phasing out its styrofoam cups. It plans to be completely switched over to paper by 2020.
I knew when I started the project that they were thinking about doing that, and I thought that was great, and it seems like they are on track to do that, which would be wonderful.
Sure, it's environmentally friendly, but can you actually surf on it?
It totally works, yeah. Yeah, I've used it several times. It sits in my board rack, and I pull it out from time to time.
Nolan hopes others can find ways to get creative with hard-to-recycle products.
The ocean is the source of life on this planet, so if we don't protect it, if we don't clean up after ourselves, what are we doing?
In Hampton, Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Aging population in New Hampshire creates challenges for transportation. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cronin.
This is not your kid's sandbox. This is the place that brings your backyard dreams to life.
87-year-old Patricia Skiro is ready to downsize, but she's not going far.
Friends,
I know Dover. I wouldn't want to move away.
She stopped driving for medical reasons, so now she uses the region's transportation provider, Coast, to get around.
The service is great and the drivers are great, and I even play Words with Friends with one of the drivers.
Come on, no you don't.
Yes, I do.
In an aging population, Skiro is one of thousands of Granite Staters who rely on public transit.
We've seen ridership increase 881% in the last 10 years.
Coast Executive Director Rad Nichols says as demand soars, so does operating costs, up 37% in the past decade. He says this trend puts what they do in jeopardy.
We're on a path of unsustainability. Unfortunately, New Hampshire is one of a very few number of states that do not support the funding of public transit operations.
Coast is one of 11 public transportation systems in New Hampshire. Without additional state and federal funding, it says it'll eventually be forced to make drastic changes.
It's a struggle in a state that doesn't recognize regional type efforts.
Transportation is a really key part of what we call livable communities, having communities that are safe and accessible and affordable.
Todd Fahey of AARP says people will need to work together to find creative solutions on a local, state, and federal level.
We can solve this problem. We can move people from point A to point B, from where they are to where they want to go. But we just need to think about how we connect the systems that we have and maybe think about some new ones.
Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Massport proposing big changes to Uber and Lyft riders at Logan Airport. Let's take a listen to the video from WCVB Boston.
Homewood's Furniture and Design Center is having their biggest Moonlight Madness sale ever this Saturday.
Definitely very convenient.
Right now, Uber and Lyft pick up and drop off just feet from the terminal, but that convenience is causing a traffic headache. The airport says it logged 12 million rideshare trips last year.
There's a lot of congestion. One time when it gets busy over here, it's crazy.
Massport says a lot of the backups come from drivers themselves. After they drop off a passenger in departures, they have to wind through the airport driving to arrivals to pick up the next ride. And drivers say it can be disorganized.
Because people don't know what they're really doing around here. There's not much instructions.
So now the airport wants to combine pickups and drop-offs farther away in the central parking garage.
If we've got to wind through parking garages or cross other streets, it could make it pretty difficult to find where we actually are picking up our Uber.
Yeah, I mean, the time it takes to call an Uber, you could walk there. As long as the signage is clear, I think putting it in a place where there's a little more convenience and safety for pickup is probably appropriate.
Fees could also go up, which Uber opposes. It says fees on a round trip to the airport would jump to $10. Customers say it could take some time to adapt to the changes.
People would have to adjust habits. I have to admit, honestly, I count on the fact that I get dropped off at the terminal when I'm assessing how much time it takes to get to a flight.
Now, Uber and Lyft tonight tell us that they are working with the airport on this proposal, but Uber says this plan would make the customer experience here worse. The vote could come in the next few weeks.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And if you travel and fly out of Logan Airport, let us know what you think about this. Do you think this is a good idea or a bad idea? Comment below and let us know. Manchester police searching for stabbing suspect. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9.
This is not your kid's sandbox. This is the place that brings your backyard dreams to life.
Now in Manchester, police are looking for the suspects who robbed and stabbed a man this afternoon. Investigators say it happened in the area of Auburn and Beach Streets just after 3:30. Police say the suspects are described as an Hispanic man, about 5 feet 10 inches tall, about 220 to 230 pounds. Anyone with information should call police.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Ice jam clears on Piscataquag River in New Boston. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9.
This is not your kid's sandbox. This is the place that brings your backyard dreams to life.
Good news tonight for people living along the Piscataquag River in New Boston. Fire Chief Dan McDonald says the massive ice jam has finally broken up. Officials believe the jam resolved itself sometime yesterday.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. That is good news there for those homes. Dow features point to slightly lower open as growth concerns. U.S. stocks index features were lower Friday morning, amid jitters sparked by the Federal Reserve's caution outlook for the world's largest economy. White House rejects request for Trump-Putin communication. Let's take a listen to the video from ABC News.
Different parts of the body. It may also affect people who take medications for bipolar disorder and schizophrenia.
We were so relieved to learn that today TD is manageable.
Learn more at talkabouttd.com.
The report that broke over the weekend that the FBI reportedly opened a counterintelligence investigation into a sitting president concerned that President Trump could be working for Russia. Well, today he was asked, did you ever work for Russia? And the furious president responded. Here's ABC Chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl.
Tonight, a flat denial from the President of the United States. He is not and has never been a Russian agent.
I never worked for Russia. Not only did I never work for Russia, I think it's a disgrace that you even asked that question, because it's a whole big fat hoax. It's just a hoax.
The New York Times reports that shortly after the president fired James Comey, the FBI started a counterintelligence investigation to see if Trump himself was operating as a Russian agent. The Times reports the investigation was prompted in part by the president's own public statements about why he fired Comey.
And in fact, when I decided to just do it, I said to myself, I said, you know, this Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story.
The president is also now defending his private conversations with Russian President Vladimir Putin. After their 2-hour meeting in Helsinki last year, he seemed to accept Putin's denial that Russia meddled in the election.
My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be.
Now the Washington Post is reporting the president went to great lengths to conceal the details of his conversations with Putin, at one point taking notes away from a U.S. translator after a meeting in July 2017 in Hamburg, Germany. The president told Fox News he would have no problem releasing the information.
I would. I don't care. I mean, I had a conversation like every president does. We had a great conversation. I'm not keeping anything under wraps. I couldn't care less.
All of this believed to be part of the Mueller investigation now. John Carl at the White House and John confirmation hearings are set to begin tomorrow for the president's attorney general nominee, William Barr, and he'll surely be pressed on whether he'll protect the Mueller investigation if he becomes AG.
Absolutely, especially because Barr in the past has been quite critical of the Mueller investigation. But Barr has released the opening statement that he intends to give to the committee, in which he vows that he will not interfere with the Mueller investigation, saying, quote, "It's vitally important that the special counsel be allowed to complete his investigation." And David, he also says that it's important that both Congress and the public be informed of the results of that investigation.
All right, John Carl with news before the confirmation hearings begin. John, thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And, by the way, happening today, the Made in New Hampshire Expo kicks off today. This 3-day expo celebrates thousands of products made right here in the Granite State and will be held March 22nd from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m., March 23rd from 10 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., and March 24th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tickets for the expo held in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire at the Doubletree Expo Center are $9 for adults, $8 for seniors, and $3 for kids in ages 2 through 12. So check out the Made in New Hampshire Expo. I'm planning on going this weekend with my mom. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a wonderful Friday, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.